Alrighty, fanboys and fangirls, it looks like we got a new smartphone added to the lineup of already so much smartphone market already, but this one is different because this is coming from the founder of OnePlus himself with his all-new Nothing Phone 1. And in today's episode, we're gonna talk about and discuss if this is just overhype or if this is something to pay attention to. That's basically what we're gonna do on this episode. So let's not waste any time. Let's get right to it. Turn the quality up to 4K. Make sure you got that setting set because Tech Noise starts right now. So the first story and the only story for today, gonna make these a little different. Some of my episodes I'll do multiple stories, but then when I'm feeling like I wanna spend a little bit more time on one particular story, it'll have its own episode like today. And the main story for today is Nothing. Literally, that's the brand name. So Nothing, as you know, is Karl. You know what? I'm not even gonna attempt his last name because I do not wanna get hit in the comments. Karl P. There we go. Can't get wrong there, can we? But anyway, Karl P's new company, Nothing, is set to launch a brand new smartphone and entering the smartphone market with the new Nothing Phone 1. Now, before I go any further and talk about this event that he hosted describing the ambitions and intentions of the brand, they were already existing. Now, as you know, he was the former CEO and founder of OnePlus, but he was pushed out the door for whatever reason. OnePlus thought it was a good idea, so he went and did his own thing, and they came out with Nothing earbuds, which I actually am kind of tempted to try out and review because this looks like a brand that might actually be worth discovering. But anyway, moving on. Now they're gonna dip into the smartphone realm. Now, one of the biggest things that surprised everybody is the fact that he's not going after OnePlus, the company that did him dirty. You would think the first thing you're gonna do is, I'm coming after you guys. I would have thought that. But no, instead he dropped Apple's name. Now that's pretty bold because not many companies have the guts to literally say Apple. And if you know anything about Apple, they own the smartphone industry right now in terms of the United States market. And honestly, there really isn't much people trying to compete with Apple at this point. They're even just trying to keep market share. So in his event, he goes into detail saying that this will be a product that connects and works seamlessly together, and says we will be building a more compelling and alternative brand to Apple. That is insane that he said that, but props to the man. Going on, he says that he hopes that his brand will bring optimism back to technology so that it can stand for progress again. And if we don't try, consumer tech stays, stale, to say the least. He then goes on and explains that the benefit of the new company that it will be its own thing. It will not rely on any third-party services. That is where we get to this brand and this new phone. The Nothing Phone 1, according to Karl, it's funny that we call him Karl. But anyway, according to Karl, the strengths will be integrating different pieces of technology. But the plan is simple. It will run in the summer. It will be first party with vendors pointed directly towards Apple. That's the goal, is to take aim at Apple, but to physically compete. Not just market and talk, physically do it. And how are they gonna do that? Well, it's simple. They're going to make their own chipsets. That's a good step. They're also going to run its own OS. That's another good point. But the main thing that really got everybody talking is a matter of whether or not this phone really is a phone, because there's so many people saying it's nothing. But basically looking at everything, it will run a Qualcomm Snapdragon processor, so that's something that we can't obviously say we didn't see coming, because that's expected. It does look like the phone's design will be an all-screen typed phone, but we'll have to wait for more details to see how the phone will actually look in day-to-day use. According to it, he says that their Nothing OS will remove the bloatware and have a smooth, uniform experiences where the apps will load and close super fast. He also says that they will receive 3 years of OS updates and a 4th year with security patches. Now, of course, you know, it is kinda Android because he did go off and say that they're gonna do their own OS. Basically, it's Android without the bloatware. But it's good to see that they are going to keep up with a 3-year OS cycle, and then we'll see where we go from there. Then, of course, he goes into details saying that the design will be pointed to a distinct design, but that it will also tamper with the way you interact with the phone on a daily. So whether or not this phone will be a legitimate full screen or have a chin or bezel remains to be seen. But the main thing with this Nothing Phone 1 is that the hype really comes from the man creating it and this company behind it. Because then he goes on and says that while there are no prices listed, it will be waiting until the summer. And right now there is no word on pricing and availability in the summer, but we do know it's launching. So taking everything that I just talked about, which sounds like a huge mess, let's put it all in together. Is this overhype or is this something to consider? Well, here's my thing. It's very bold of them to go after Apple because that's the first thing you want to do. I think like every Android company always wants to go after Apple. That's a fact. But here's the thing, and this is one of those things where, you know, you gotta really look at the entire market share. Because if this phone is going to stand any toe-to-toe, the first major challenge is getting market share. Now, depending on how much sales and pricing this phone will come down to when it releases in the summer, so we'll have more information. But to see that he wants to create a product with first-party services, not third-party, first-party. He wants to make a phone that is fast and smooth and elegant and make something that is like an Apple product but for the Android side and basically get people to switch over and see that you don't have to use Apple all the time. That's a huge ambition. Now, it is huge speculation, but there is something to be excited about. And no, don't be excited for all the YouTubers that are gonna get a hand on this, especially MKB HD, because you know for a fact Karl P is gonna go to MKB for that. But what I mean to say is there is something here. There is a good potential. And I like the positioning. I do like the idea of this new Nothing Phone 1. That's actually kind of cool to think about. But overall, we gotta wait for more details, and all I can say is your biggest challenge is getting the market share, maybe partnering with a carrier. I would probably go for Verizon. I think that's your best bet. If you want to go T-Mobile, you can, but I would say Verizon and AT&T are your best bets to make a partnership with one of them. And then, of course, launch it, market, advertise. We'll see where it goes. So to answer the question, it's not overhype. It's just a lot of speculation, but with some huge potential behind it. So I'm kind of excited for this, and you know something? I actually feel like this might be the start of something good. And maybe that's exactly what we need in the US market. We need more Android platforms, we need more things so consumers can stop leaning on Apple and finally realize that Android's just as good. But we'll see what happens.